welcome to the Edenic Intimacy podcast. This is our very first episode, which will be just an introduction to who we are and what we're planning to do, so stay tuned.
Let's roll.
Hello to everyone who's listening,
I'm Adam.
and I am your other host, Eve. Thank you for joining us today.
So what are we going to be doing here, Eve?
So, kind of an overview of what we're going to cover in this introduction episode is we want to talk about who we are, the goal and purpose of this podcast, what's behind our name, why we're anonymous, because Adam and Eve are not our real names, and what are our qualifications to talk about what we're going to talk about.
Beautiful. Well, I know who you are.
I know who you are.
You are the love of my life.
Oh, thank you. You too. So, you're my husband, I'm your wife.
Mm-hmm.
We're a young married couple.
Millennials.
Millennials, yeah. Married just under a year.
Mm,
And yeah,
best year of my life.
best year of my life as well.
Actually, it's more than just the best year. It's the best 2.5 years, 3 years.
True, yep. Getting to know each other, getting married, dating, getting married, and then living life together. It's been pretty amazing. So we're going by Adam and Eve. And yeah, we'll talk about why we're doing that in a little bit. But that just gives kind of an idea of who we are, how long we've been married. And then I guess we can get into what are our goals and our purpose for this podcast, Edenic Intimacy.
Well, we love taking road trips together and driving, watching the scenery, listening to audiobooks, and talking. Right. That's the one thing that we probably love doing the most on our road trips. And we love talking about each other, figuring out how we tick, how we work, and our journey together.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I loved most from the very beginning was just, wow, I love talking with this guy. I love the depth of our conversations. I love all the openness of our conversations as well. And so I think out of that open communication over time, and especially after marriage, we started to find ourselves saying, man, I wish we could share this with other people. These things we've learned or the things we wish we knew before we were married. Man, I wish we had some way that we could talk about these things with other people. Talk about the more intimate sides of marriage and the things we've learned about that and the beauty that it can hold.
Because it's interesting how in our culture we're very what would we say, we're very sexualized culture, right? Just if you've been alive for any amount of time and if you've been around for anything, you notice that, especially in the entertainment industry, even just going to the store shopping, right? You maybe go look for clothing or different things or look at the movies, books. We're a very sexualized culture, you could say, in that way. And yet at the same time, talking about intimacy and the nuts and the bolts of it is something that just doesn't happen too often in what we would call polite conversation, right? Either it happens in a crass way or it's left for weird, awkward sessions with a therapist or else the entertainment industry.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, there's so much that we've enjoyed discovering together that we're like, oh no, this needs to be talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of our goals or our purposes, to talk about these things that maybe aren't being talked about very often.
To start the conversations flowing, to start making it more normalized to have these discussions, not in a crass way, but in a normal way, in a way of creating community for one thing. I think a lot of people feel alone in some of their struggles or their views, and they're like, oh, nobody would understand this. If we can talk more openly, I think we can find more community and more support and better understanding of some of these things.
Hmm.
So I would also say, because things are talked about, I mean, or are in society in a maybe less true way. I was thinking of like media and movies.
Like facades or trying to drive selling a product or an idea.
Correct. Yeah. We want to have a place where God's word can be a part of these conversations and um, truth instead of just, oh, this is my reality, that's your reality. Well, what does God's word say?
What is
What
reality?
is reality? And so that's another one of, I would say, one of our goals is to be grounded and bring a grounded conversation that's grounded in absolute truth.
Hmm.
So,
Very
what would
good.
you say is our overall purpose?
Our overall purpose is to give a voice to the joy that God has given us.
Yes.
Not to there's that little song, hide it under a bushel.
Mm.
No, right? We're gonna take in some small way what God has given to us, the love and the joy, the beauty that He's given in our lives. And by His grace, we're going to say, no, we're not going to hide it under a bushel. We're going to share it,
Mm-hmm.
talk about it, and encourage others to embark on one of the most amazing journeys of their life.
I would say also that, yeah, unfortunately, a lot of what you hear is the horror stories. Oh, can you believe he did this? Or I left that guy. He was so abusive, whatever. So we hear a lot of the failures in the horror stories. And actually, a lot of the single people I know, a lot of what they've said is, well, I'm scared to get married because I don't want it to end up like so and so, or end up like this, or end up like that. I don't want to be another divorce statistic. And we want to share the message that marriage is beautiful. It can be beautiful if it's done
Amen.
God's way. So, yeah, that's just a little bit of what we'd like to get into. A lot of it is just going to be talking about things that are near and dear to our hearts that we're passionate about, and all of it revolving around relationships, relationships with each other as spouse, relationship with God, eventually relationships with children or family members. All of those things, um, I guess, are involved in
Hmm.
this topic.
Well, and you're talking about how marriage can be this amazing thing. And it's funny because as a guy, you think about things, you dream about things, you think, oh yeah, one day, boy, it'd be great to have sex. That's going to be great, right? And then you get there, and it's like, wow, this is even better than I ever imagined. This is better than anything any movie has tried to portray it as. Any anything you cram into that void of longing that intimacy, longing to have that intimacy with another person. And so every day it's like, well, maybe not every day, but every day I get to think about it. It's like this is better
Mm-hmm.
than I could have ever imagined.
Yeah.
So there's just a little sneak preview.
So, how do we come up with the name Edenic Intimacy? Maybe some people listening are like, Edenic, what is that?
Eden, back in the beginning, when God created the earth and He planted a garden, the
Mm-hmm.
Garden of Eden. So it's back to God's original purpose,
Mm-hmm.
His original design.
Mm-hmm.
That's where Edenic comes from.
Yeah. So the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve, and the beauty and the love that was there, the perfection that was there. Now, obviously, that was lost in the fall to a certain extent, but we also believe that we can have a taste of that even in our fallen state as sinful human beings. And that's what we hope to strive for and to put forth in this podcast is just some of the things we've learned about how to have a taste of that.
Hmm.
We toyed with some other names.
Yeah, there's some other fun names. Maybe someday we'll have to do some other podcasts call them some of those other names because yeah, they were fun. But Edenic Intimacy really does summarize it. I know before we were married, one thing that I prayed and I asked God was, you know, dealing with sexual intimacy. I was like, God, make it, make Sarah and my sexual intimacy once we're married, make it how you originally designed it, make it all that it can be.
Hmm.
And so that's, again, going back to the thought of Edenic intimacy, the way God designed it to be, and blow our minds, if you will, beyond our wildest dreams.
So why are we anonymous? Why are we not using our real names, showing our faces?
Well, every podcast out there for the most part, it's really tied to somebody,
Hmm.
right? It's tied to a face. It's like maybe the Joe Rogan podcast or something. So it it's a person. And some of these are sensitive topics. Some of these are things that are will be very open and
Maybe we should say kind of some of the things we might get into.
right, sexuality,
Hmm.
some of the things that we've been through personally, dealing with pornography,
Hmm.
things like that. So, are we trying to hide? No, we're not trying to hide. But what we are trying to do is be very bold and say, here's something to think about. And don't attach it to my face. Don't attach it to me as a person. You and God take the ideas and run with it. So don't be like, oh man, I'm gonna pattern my life after Adam and Eve. Oh, their story's so great. That's the perfect love story. No, it's not the perfect love story for you.
Hmm.
It's the perfect love story for us. It's what God gave us. Take what God gives to you. So we're anonymous to get people thinking for themselves, not just saying, well, this podcast said it, so it must be true.
Hmm. So, are we qualified to share?
Well, I don't know. Did they give us a marriage license?
Yes, they did.
Well, I guess we must be qualified in some regard anyway.
Right. So, no, we're not licensed counselors or therapists or anything like that. Um,
No, that's not what we're claiming to
no.
be. We're not counseling you.
Correct. We want to share our experiences, and in that sense, we are qualified in our experiences.
Hmm.
We know what we've been through. We know what things have worked for us so far, and could our views on certain things change as we grow and learn?
Oh,
Yes,
absolutely.
absolutely. Um, but are we qualified to share what we've learned so far? I think so.
Absolutely. They are our firmly held opinions and or experiences that we have gone through.
Right.
Are we biased? Absolutely.
Right. I remember one time not long after we were married, we wanted to just give a little talk about relationships at our church. And a few of the older people kind of made certain comments about, we're going to go hear some marriage advice from, like, oh, yeah, what are they going to be able to tell us type of idea because they're so newly married. And yet, I think that is one of the reasons conversations of this sort are often shut down is because people feel like, oh, I'm not qualified to talk about this. Maybe no one else will understand. Maybe no one else will. Um, Maybe they'll look down on me because I'm sharing my view or my thought on this or something I've learned on this. And we want to do the opposite of that. We want to open conversations up. Um, Something that I found very, I guess, sad is that in a lot of churches, at least the ones I've been in, this is not something that's being talked about. So you often have to go outside of a biblical worldview to hear information on the intimacy and marriage and sexuality and all of these things. Maybe not marriage. Marriage is talked about pretty highly, but especially when it comes to things like sexuality, pornography, dating and relationships. A lot of what you hear is very cliche,
Mm.
and nobody wants to talk about it beyond that. It's like, oh, don't talk about that, or it's something. you go ask your parents or go ask your past or trusted person. You don't want to talk about this in church. You don't want to talk about it in youth group. Like, oh, that's taboo. And yet, we need to be talking about these things.
Well, if the animals figure it out, you'll be able to figure it out.
Yeah, that
That
sometimes
attitude.
is the idea, I think, behind it.
Mm.
And I think if everybody started talking more from a grounded biblical perspective, it would be a good thing.
But yeah, and you mentioned earlier like how there's all the horror stories or the failure stories, and those are very real, and like that's a real thing, and it's cause and effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are cause and effect, not justification. That's a different thing. But there are cause and effect that go into all those stories for the most part, and it doesn't mean one person didn't do everything right, right? It can all boil down to the other person really going off the deep end or off the rails or having bad motive. But there is cause and effect. And so we want more happy homes, we want more happy stories
Mm-hmm.
and less sad ones because we believe that's possible. We know that's possible
Mm-hmm.
without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, so stay tuned. There's going to be more to come. We've got some interesting ideas in the near future. I think one of the very next ones we'd like to do is about dating and intimacy in dating. You've probably heard a lot of things like, oh, depending what circles you come from, never have sex before marriage. Some places you might hear things like, don't even kiss before marriage.
Mhm.
And
It's like,
saving your kiss for your wedding day is like the highest form of righteousness.
mm,
Is that true? Um, we're going to talk about it, I think, in an upcoming podcast.
yeah. Second second trip we got to see each other. Um, I was talking. I wasn't sure if I wanted to get kissed or I wanted to get kissed. Wasn't sure if I would want to kiss before being married
Mm-hmm.
or before the wedding. And you and I started discussing things.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go over that little story.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed this. Again, it's just a little bit of an introduction, so we'll get into more of the nitty-gritty in the ones to come.
Absolutely.
So we hope you have a great day, and God bless.
I know I'm gonna have a great day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because you're married to me.
absolutely. I love you.
Love you too.
You're my treasure. Oh, yeah.